So feminists seem very into compiling lists these days for some reason, right? There's all these lists which are essentially orders and instructions that men are expected to comply with in order to live up to the feminists' expectation of appropriate maleness in society or something. And these lists they're actually hilarious when you look at them because they're so ridiculous and over the top and self-serving and self-indulgent and vacuous and childish. It's essentially the kind of mindset of a spoiled princess little girl making demands of daddy and I want this and if you don't do that I'll be mad. So essentially that, except adults are doing it. So in this example, it's a new list from Clementine Ford, who is an Australian feminist writer or something. And she's a regular contributor to the daily newspaper in Australia, The Age. And she uses that platform to do things like target specific high school boys for attack and to publicly ridicule them and to disparage them in the pages of this major mainstream newspaper. So this is the quality of thinking and of character of these people who are telling everybody else how they should live. So here we go. This is the top 5 demands from professional bitter feminist Clementine Ford that men must submit to in order to help bring about this much anticipated feminist utopia. Number 1. Listen to us when we tell you about our experiences of womanhood. No! Why would I want to do that? Who actually would suggest such a thing? How narcissistic and childish and self-absorbed do you have to be to suggest that men or anybody should have to sit around and listen to you go on about your experiences of womanhood? Do men do that? Do men demand women listen to their experiences of manhood? I went to the football game yesterday and you have to sit and listen to my experience of seeing my team lose and why as a man that was upsetting to me, and then I went out for beers afterwards and you should understand my experience of manhood drinking those 7 beers. I mean, come on, this is submental. But Clementine's very specific. She's got very specific things that you need to do in order to be fully informed about female experiences of womanhood, right? So you have to read books by female writers. You have to watch movies about female protagonists and ones with actual depth. So Bridesmaids is out, but Bridges of Madison County, that counts, or Driving Miss Daisy, I don't know. You have to listen to podcasts made by women. You have to buy music written and recorded by women. I don't even buy music written and recorded by men anymore, Clementine. Do you think I'm going to subject myself to Katy Perry or Taylor Swift or bloody Miley Bloody Cyrus or somebody? It ain't happening, Clementine. Number 2, challenge the men around you even when you don't feel like it. Right? Even when you don't feel like it, guys, right? Because this isn't up to you. This is up to Clementine. She gets to decide what you should do and when you should do it. I don't feel like challenging that guy. He looks kind of scary and angry. But a feminist might think I'm doing something wrong. So, excuse me, sir. I challenge you. Number 3. Accept that your opinion isn't always welcome and it certainly isn't always needed. But feminists' opinion, oh my God, we can't get enough of those. I can sit there for hours and hours and hours and listen to people like Clementine Ford drone on about these things that she makes up in her mind and thinks is actually happening out there in the world, and because she lives in a little bubble of other feminists, they all sit there confirming each other's little feminist fantasies to each other. And who couldn't listen to that for days and days and days and days and days? Right? This is like a mansplaining thing, right? This ridiculous childish term mansplaining that feminists have invented recently. Right? Essentially, it's for underconfident, self-absorbed, narcissistic women who don't see the irony or the hypocrisy in thinking that as women they're entitled to determine when men may and may not speak and what they may and may not contribute to a conversation.
I'm just giving you...
I love the mansplaining. I'm enjoying it.
You're loving what?
The mansplaining that's going on.
What
Well, just talking me through how by not answering the question, by repeating processes which are not related to the question that I've asked.
What's mansplaining, Senator?
Well, it's the slightly patronising and condescending way that you're responding to my questions.
Well, I would suggest, Senator, that if you're putting the word man in front of some description of what I'm doing, you're doing that which I'm sure you're very much against, is making a sexist implication about how I'm conducting my role as a man.
Well, then, since
Imagine
I've
the
asked.
reaction, Senator, if I said you were woman-splaining. You're saying that I'm mansplaining.
Well, it is a term that's used.
Is it
when,
by whom?
Well, it is a term that's used.
By rude...
Doesn't make
By rude senators. By senators
no.
who are seeking to make gender an issue.
Somehow women having the authority to tell men when they may and may not speak is equality. Number 4, commit to giving up your privilege. Right, so here's this woman, Clementine Ford, who takes for granted that she has this access to the mainstream media. She's got a platform that she can use anytime she wants to ridicule high school boys and write condescending and insulting things about a whole section of the population based on their gender, and she knows she'll get away with it, and she actually gets paid for doing it. And yet she's saying you have privilege and you are obliged to give it up. And last but not least, number 5, stop expecting praise for just showing up. We don't. We don't, Clementine. Nobody is seeking your praise. There's nobody out here who is looking at you or feminists like you and thinking, you know, Clementine Ford and her friends, they seem really nasty and bitter and vindictive, and, you know, the only reasoning they seem capable of is circular reasoning, where they just kind of confirm everything they already believe, and, you know, they don't really seem to have anything particularly constructive or even interesting to contribute, but if only they would praise me, then that would really make my day. Right, she writes, you don't get a medal just because you said somewhere that you think women are people. I mean, thanks for telling us that, Clementine. You don't get a medal for that, guys. I'm sorry. Right? If you think women are people, no medal. Congratulations, you're basically decent. Do we have to sit around and chat about it all day? No! No, we don't. Nobody is sitting around and chatting about this all day except you, Clementine, and people like you. The rest of us, we're getting along with our lives, we're getting along fine. Men and women are meeting and falling in love and raising children and just having a normal life. Nobody is sitting around and chatting about this all day except you. So there you have it, gentlemen. Here you can see the result of accepting 20 years of being told by feminists that you are to consider yourself essentially defective by nature, and 20 years of acquiescing to feminist demands that you embrace their ideology and submit to their worldview. And the result? You're being told, not good enough. In fact, here's a new list of demands for you to submit to in order to appease us. I can't imagine for the life of me why men out there, after all of that, aren't highly motivated to get stuck into that new list right away. Come on, guys. What did you expect? And do you really think that more groveling to these people will satisfy them at some point down the road? You know, not that long ago when men were encouraged to be strong and proud and self-confident and authentically themselves, Women like this, women like Clementine Ford, hated them. Women like this still hate them. The only difference is now men are weak and confused and unsure of themselves and docile. Does that sound like a good trade-off to you guys? Snap out of it, men. You went against your own rationality and you sacrificed your integrity to appease feminists like this? Feminists like Clementine Ford? How many more lists is it going to take? How many more orders are you going to take? How many more articles that are condescending and insulting to boys and to men is it going to take before you realize this wasn't a good idea? It was a mistake. You tried it their way and it doesn't work. So the message going forward from men to feminists has to be very clear. Not good enough for you ladies? Too bad. The experiment is over.